Hello and welcome back to the channel. So today I have a bit of a different video for you all. You see, in transferring files across from one computer to another, I discovered a backup I had done of all of my screenshots I have ever taken on Jurassic World Evolution 2. And you can imagine that's quite a lot of screenshots. I thought what would be a nice thing to do as the game comes towards its end and we look forward to Jurassic World Evolution 3 would be to go back through all of my screenshots I've ever taken and highlight some ones I think are especially good. So you can sort of think of this video as a art gallery through Jurassic World Evolution 2's development. The first picture I have is the very first picture I ever took on the very first campaign map for Jurassic World Evolution 2 here in Arizona, with the Triceratops there in the foreground while his companions that I was transporting into his enclosure are being delivered by Skycrane. For me, I think this is a really important screenshot because just in this one picture it demonstrates how very different Jurassic World Evolution 2 felt day one from Jurassic World Evolution 1. You know, gone is that horrible lurid green island that we all got used to burned into our retinas, and now we've got this much nicer looking calm desert with the paleobotany all around, and even the Triceratops model has been rejigged so it looks a lot better than it ever did in Jurassic World Evolution 1. I just thought that this is a really important thing to remember, you know, where the game started all that time ago, you know, the very first screenshot I took on day one in the first stream I did about the game. It's definitely a memory for me. And kind of attached to that is screenshot number 2 of the slightly injured Allosaurus that we have to deal with in the second mission of the campaign. And again, just look at the difference of the environment, the snowy capped mountains, I think they're all supposed to be fir trees or pine trees, you know, the trees of the taiga/alpine biome. Just being able to have snow on the map, again, just such a big difference from the islands of Jurassic World Evolution 1. And the fact that, you know, our animals were going to scar now, so these injuries on this Allosaurus would later scar after the medical treatment. But I just thought this particular pose of him just sort of sat upright there like a cat or a sphinx while he was recovering from his injuries, I just thought it was a particularly good pose that needed to be screenshot. Screenshot number 3, the Amargasaurus. This is, for me, I think one of the success stories of the new animals that came to Jurassic World Evolution 2 in those very early days. Remember, Amargasaurus was not a DLC, it was a base game dinosaur, and I think it was the best base game dinosaur the game launched with. I think the Amargasaurus looks fantastic. That short stubby head, the really thick chunky look that they gave the animal, the spikes which resulted in me naming this guy the Punk Sauropod, and the fact that all of the skin colours and pattern colours looked really great on the Amargasaurus. It is still one of my favourite animals in Jurassic World Evolution 2, and it's no surprise that during my first, I believe this was my first challenge mode playthrough, which I did on the second stream on release day, I had to get a screenshot of this guy because he had already worked himself into my heart. Screenshot number 4 goes to Elasmosaurus, and this guy I think is a rather underappreciated gem in our lagoons. This was back in the day where, as you can see by the background, lagoons had absolutely nothing in them, really, and we couldn't place anything within them, and I hadn't started modding at this point. But one thing that was certain to me at this very early stage was that Elasmosaurus has some really beautiful skins. This one of my favorites, which adds this sort of bluish and sort of rainbow effect to the back, which I've always likened to sort of the way copper or bronze goes green in water, hence me calling this one the copperback skin. And I just think that the Elasmosaurus skins are beautiful and definitely save the animal from not being particularly good with its dragon features that it was given. Of course, at this point all the lagoon animals were suffering, so this is also a memory of just how bad the lagoons were on implementation, something I seriously hope Jurassic World Evolution 3 does improve. Screenshot number 5 highlights a really important change from my Jurassic World Evolution 2 playthrough. This was 2 weeks after the game's release, and at this point I had already started to install mods. This is the beginning of me installing mods on a new park build. This was the first build of the Arizona Reserve, which is the park I currently have to finish after I remade it some months ago. But this was the first time I built the park, and this was my first modding utilization. So here is obviously being me using free build in order to put the Jurassic Park gates and the planters and such in the lagoon to serve as a focal point for the front of the park, and obviously capturing the Jurassic Park helicopter above the gates was just an added bonus for me. But yeah, this symbolizes me starting to mod the game. And part of that same park build was this picture of the aviary that I have at the center of that build. I've always loved this sort of look for the aviaries, not the Jurassic World greenhouse, which I think looks a bit ugly, to be honest. This sort of DFW and Jurassic Park sort of grills or sort of wooden girdering. It reminds me a lot of the Crystal Palace that was built in the Victorian era for sort of the grand exhibitions that they used to hold of all the sort of modern stuff that was coming in. All this sort of exposed girder work and such, it just really reminds me of that. And I think this, if I put a picture of Crystal Palace Park up as well, you can see what I mean. It reminds me heavily of that sort of construction, and I think it made for a really good spectacle since you have to walk up to this aviary in the park. Now this screenshot I've always titled as who is watching who. This is obviously a Kronosaurus in the lagoon with the Jurassic Park aviary viewing galleries sunk into the lagoon. So technically it would be like a promenade or viewing windows into the lagoon. And I just love the fact that we have a Kronosaurus here watching the humans in the viewing gallery while the humans are watching them back. And it's the sort of interactions between the guest structures and the animals that I hope they develop more animations for Jurassic World Evolution 3, because animals in captivity definitely show interest when people are around. They are as curious about us as we are about them, and I think highlighting some of that through some animations would go a long way to making the animals feel a little more integrated into the parks. This screenshot came from the aborted Japanese Daizatsuzen Park build that I started I think about a year after Jurassic World Evolution 2's launch, but I couldn't finish because the map bugged out on me. But I especially liked using the view. This was the first place where I sort of stole an idea from Best in Slot. I watched a video of his at random where he used the viewing gallery from the lagoons in a normal enclosure build, and I thought that was a really good idea, so I copied it from this point onwards. And this was sort of my first attempt. I wanted to create a Giganotosaurus enclosure, but have like an upper area using the lagoon viewing gallery where you see the entire enclosure, and then you drop down to sort of prey height, and you can look through the protective windows and such at the Giganotosaurus. And I just happened to catch this guy sort of peering in, again showing that sort of curiosity about the people who are watching through the bars. This comes from the Daizatsuzen Park again. This is 2 Diplodocus bathed in moonlight, and I do believe I have actually called this particular picture Sauropods by Moonlight, I think it was. I just thought it was a really nice shot. You know, the monorail in the background and the 2 viewing gallery, viewing towers, and the 2 sauropods. Just a nice picture. Again, this comes from the Daizatsuzen build, and I just like how this picture looks. The lone Ceratosaurus, which I think Ceratosaurus is an underappreciated dinosaur in Jurassic World Evolution 2. I think it was very much appreciated in Jurassic World Evolution 1, but with the second game, I think there are so many good animals around its sort of weight class class. You know, you have the Metriacanthosaurus, the Megalosaurus, the Majungasaurus, the Kinjalosaurus. A lot of animals in a similar sort of build and weight class to it, and I think Ceratosaurus has lost some of the attention that it had from Jurassic World Evolution 1, but I still really like the animal. I really like many of its skins. This particular screenshot I always titled The One That Walked Away as a sort of Jurassic Park 3 reference, and yeah, just a nice, well-framed picture for me, I think. Now this screenshot comes from, again, an abortive build. I tried to reconstruct my Egypt park, Pharaoh's Valley, in Jurassic World Evolution 2. But again, the modding scene back at this point, this was very early in Jurassic World Evolution 2's development, so updates and things were breaking mods quite a lot, and unfortunately this particular park was broken through a update which then broke the mods for it. But this picture I will always remember as just a nice romantic picture of the two Amargasaurus doing their social animation in their enclosure, while in the background the Mamenchisaurus seemed to be deliberately giving them space to do so. I just thought it was a fun little screenshot to include here. And again, like I say, the Amargasaurus I think looks absolutely wonderful. You know, the patterns and the colors here just really demonstrate that for me. Now this last one is probably the one piece of path art I have been the most proud of in all of Jurassic World Evolution 2's development. This particular piece of path art came from my first attempt to build a lagoon only park with mods on Jurassic World Evolution 2, and this is on the San Diego map, and I had the mod that the map extension mod. On the San Diego map, I'm sure you all know, there is that lump of rock in the middle, which I've always kind of thought was just plonked there to give us some sort of random challenge on the map, because otherwise it would be too easy. And I thought, well, I don't really just like having this plonked piece of land here, so what can we do with it? And I decided I would turn it into some path art, so I drew a Liplorodon into the rock and also tried to give it a little bit of 3D texture. If I switch to some of the other pictures from more of an oblique angle, you can see how I've tried to give it some texture, give it a little bit of a back hump, and make the back flippers look like they're lower than the front flippers by sort of angling, smoothing out the rock faces. And I just thought this looked really, really nice and very distinctive, and yeah, it's the one piece of path art that I'm most happy with out of all of the attempts I've made in Jurassic World Evolution 2 over the years. Probably will never be able to make it look quite that way again. So that was just a few screenshots from Jurassic World Evolution 2's very early days. What I think I'm going to do is, because I have so many screenshots, I think I'm going to do a few videos like this on the lead up towards Jurassic World Evolution 3, just going through all of the wonderful images in there, because it does show some of the interesting developments and such that happened with Jurassic World Evolution 2 over its lifespan. I haven't even got to where Lux mods became a massive thing or anything like that, and some of those screenshots I took I thought were pretty damn good. So yeah, they'll expect to see more videos like this of just going through some really great screenshots. If you guys like these, on the Discord I will be putting them all in there for folks to download and utilize as their own desktop wallpapers or such, if that's what people want. So if you're not part of the Discord and you want to, just hang out with us at Triclaw Gaming, then do join that. There should be a Discord link in the description below. And don't forget to like the video and subscribe if you're new to the channel for more content from all of us at Triclaw Gaming. Until next time, stay safe and goodbye.